What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to Maps Exposed. This is the series where I cover all of the lines of sight, wall runs, as well as any other secret spots that I know of on every map in Black Ops 3. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the map Metro. Let's get into it. Alright guys, I hate to do this, but I'm going to be starting this series off by saying this is likely going to be the worst episode of this series. This map is too simple. It's as simple as that. I searched for a long time trying to find good spots on this map, and there just aren't very many. So don't expect too much. I want to set the bar pretty low here before we get into this episode. There's not too much to show you, and a lot of the spots that I do show you aren't even going to be that amazing. This isn't me being lazy or anything like that with this episode. It's simply the map design. It's very simple, very clean lines, and therefore there's just not much to it. Alright guys, so first off, this is a very symmetrical map, so basically all the spots I'm going to show you, I'll also show you the mirror to. Some of them are a little bit different because it's not perfect symmetry, but it's near perfect symmetry. So the first part here is when you're back over by the A flag here, and you want to get a nice line of sight on the people in that doorway or over here without walking right around this corner and exposing your entire body. If you spawn back here, just jump up on top of the hood of this and just kind of strafe over, and it'll bring you up. You can look into the doorway, you can look into here, you can crouch to take cover, stand up. You get a nice line of sight on anybody that might be trying to spawn trap you from up there, which does happen fairly often. Also, if you know you're safe from those spots, you can come up a little bit further and you get a nice line of sight down there, which is a somewhat common flank route. It's also a hardpoint location, so this can be good in hardpoint. And yeah, you can basically use that in quite a few different situations. Pretty versatile spot. Just a little alternative, if the guys that are over there start catching on to what you're doing and you're coming off spawn right here, you can just lay down under this van and you can check that spot very easily, snipe them, or if you have an assault rifle or something, you can pick them off through there. Pretty good little spot, and it's not likely they'll ever see you there unless they have a thermal sight. As for another alternative, that's just for that doorway there, so you can cut your line of sight off to those guys there. If you just want to look into the doorway, maybe you spawn right back here, you can just lay down by this tire. And there you go, get a nice line of sight there. And again, this is an area where they aren't going to be looking for you. And even if they are, they're not likely to see you through here. Now right back here behind the A flag, if you have enemies that are coming from that way or even this way, basically any direction, and you don't want to be like crouching like this exactly where they'd expect you to be, you can just hop up right here and then crouch. And that just gives you a slightly different line of sight. If you move all the way to the corners, you'll drop down into the water. And that gives you a little bit better cover, especially for people that are coming on that wall run. But the problem here is you have this much room to move, and you have to actually mantle out to get out of that area, which could get you killed in a lot of situations as well. So just be aware of that. It's not really an amazing spot, it's just something to know. Now right next to the A flag, there's also one by the C flag. We have this wall run here. It's the most obvious wall run on the map, or at least one of the most obvious ones, and people use it all the time. I always like to change it up and go on the outside of wall runs like this, simply because it's less expected. I mentioned this on quite a few of these episodes. If you have a really obvious wall run and you can wall run on the backside of it, I usually recommend going on the backside of it, because if someone's laying down right here, they'll have a nice clear line of sight on you the entire time as you're running around. But if you're on the backside of that, they just see as you jump out right here, and it takes them by surprise and they have to try and snap on a target, and you can already be ready for them and shooting them while you're jumping off of that billboard. Now, in the opening of pretty much every game mode, you're going to have guys that run up to this area and right over to the opposite area there on the reverse side. And then they're going to get into a face-to-face gunfight, and it's basically whoever has better gun skill is going to win this gunfight. A nice way to stack the odds a little bit more in your favor is to drop down onto this thing for your opening route. Of course, if they drop down to the other side, then you're going to run into that same situation where it's like a 50-50 gunfight. But most of the time, people don't really drop down there. And I wouldn't linger here for too long just in case they flank in the water. But just run up to here, drop down, and then strafe over like that. There's that piece of cover right there. It's a little bit of a better line of sight on them that they don't normally expect. They're looking towards the guys over here, so you can just come over here and boom, pick them off real quick and then move on from there. Make sure you move on, because if they're flanking in the water, they have the advantage because you can't really see them that well from above the water, and they can see you very clearly from below the water. Now, same thing goes exactly the same the other way. So they'll rush up to here, and instead of doing that, I would drop down onto this container right here, and there you go. Perfect line of sight that way. Exact same wall run. I'd go on the outside rather than the inside. I'll just basically cover all of these symmetrical spots really, really quickly here. The exact same fountain behaves the exact same way as on the other side of the map. Over here, we have a spot where you can get a nice line of sight into the doorway. This is a little bit different than the other side, so this is not necessarily symmetry here, but you jump up onto the hood and stay on the hood. If you strafe out like this, then those guys have a clear line of sight on you. So use this building for cover, jump up on the hood, and a great line of sight towards that doorway. This is excellent if you're spawning back here and want to get a line of sight on those guys that are trying to spawn trap you from up there. Now this is kind of a symmetry spot, or at least somewhat symmetrical, so you can lay down here, get a nice line of sight on the people that are up in that area there. And I think that was pretty much it for this area here. You could jump on this car here. It doesn't really work all that well. Could jump on the hood here, which is the reverse where that white van was. You get a line of sight over towards where that hardpoint location is. You get a line of sight to them. You can kind of crouch to take a little bit of cover. And you get a bit of a line of sight through that tree into that doorway. This is much better than just running out into the open. Now this next line of sight, I forgot to show you on the A side. It is exactly the same on the A side, so I don't know if I'm even going to show you the other side. You'll figure it out. In this area right in here, in that doorway, this is a hardpoint location, and a lot of times people will kind of camp in here once they have map control on you. Say I hold A and B. A lot of times somebody will just sit in this room and wait for you to run through that doorway, and they'll just sit like this. A nice way that you can potentially get a line of sight on them, it's not going to work every time because you don't see the whole doorway, is jump up on this thing and come all the way back to the corner, and there you go. That's that doorway right there. If they're on that left-hand side of the doorway as you're looking at it right now, you might be able to pick them off through here, and they probably won't expect it. So it's something that's very situation dependent, but it could save your life. It's much better than just running through this doorway out in the open with them waiting for you. Another thing to point out is with this building, you can shoot through this through the blue parts of the wall very, very easily. And like I said, this is a hardpoint location, so if you're attacking the hardpoint and you think maybe there's a guy in that corner, spray a few bullets through there. If you get a hit marker, keep spraying, you might get the kill. Or maybe he's in this corner. Spray a few bullets through there, you might get the kill. Or at least it'll tell you that somebody is or isn't in that corner. Or at least give you a decent indication that whether or not they're in or in that corner. Same thing goes for this side of it as well. This is a little bit more versatile for different game modes because people camp in there like in Domination and Team Deathmatch. Like if you have a guy in the window and then he strafes over into that corner out of your line of sight, just spray through the wall. You might be able to get a kill through him, through the wall there on him. Just keep in mind you do lose a little bit of bullet damage, so it will take a few extra bullets to kill, especially if you're using something like an SMG. And SMGs might not even be able to punch through that. I don't know for sure, but I know assault rifles and LMGs definitely punch through that. And it is exactly the same on the other side. This room is identical, so you can spray through that part of the wall there, and you can spray through these red parts of the wall. So that's pretty much it for lines of sight that I was able to find. Like I said, it's a very simple map. Now I want to just talk a little bit about wall runs. I'm not going to cover every single wall run on the map because a lot of them are super obvious, like this one here. But what a lot of people do is they just use this wall run and then that's the end of it. You can chain this into several other wall runs if you do it properly. It takes a little bit of practice, and I'm a little out of practice, but you can chain a lot of wall runs through here. You can keep wall running like around this entire map if you do it right. It can be a little difficult on some surfaces, but as you can see, you can wall run all over the place here. And it's just sometimes a really effective way to attack people. Like a lot of times if I have people camping like this, I can pull off like a crazy wall run where I just appear from up here and take them off guard. Like I'll just show you here. I'll jump up nice and high here, transfer to this, and then jump up like that and take them out. And they just usually get so surprised by that because they're aiming down towards this area or over here that they just don't stand a chance in that gunfight. But these are like the most common wall run areas. You can wall run all around like this. Obviously you can transfer into this wall run. You can wall run up on that wall there. There's tons of wall runs on this map, but basically you just have to adapt and use it for whatever the situation demands. So there you have it. That's everything I have on this map. I know it was a bit of a disappointing episode, but that's just the way the map was designed. It's super simple, and there's just not much complexity to it. So let me know in the comment section below which one of the maps you'd like me to cover next. I think I only have like 2 maps left, maybe 3. I think it's Havoc and Exodus to cover. So let me know which one of those 2 you want me to cover. Nuketown will be covered, but I'm going to cover it after I cover all of the main maps first. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.